Hey, friends, today, I have a new story for you. Enjoy. The smell of turkey and sweet potatoes filled the air as I put the last dish on the table. The dining room looked warm with candlelight shining on the wood and my glassware that I bought myself. It should have felt cozy, but something didn't feel right. I sat down, fixing my napkin as my dad, Richard, sat at the head of the table. My mom, Evelyn, gave a small smile, her eyes shifting between us. Ted, my younger brother, was already loading his plate, not noticing the tension. We had barely started eating when my dad cleared his throat loudly. The room went still. "Jasmine," he said, putting his fork down with a clink, "we need to talk." My stomach dropped. "About what?" "You need to move out," he said calmly, like it was no big deal. "Move out?" I repeated. "Why?" "Because it's time. You've been here long enough," he replied, leaning back in his chair with his arms crossed. I laughed, though it wasn't funny. "I pay the rent, the bills, the food. You wouldn't have this meal without me." "That's not the point," he snapped. "This is our house. You've overstayed your welcome." A burden? The word hit hard. I looked at my mom, hoping for some help, but she just stared at her plate, moving food around. "Mom?" I asked softly. She hesitated, then said quietly, "Maybe Dad's right. You're an adult, Jasmine." I couldn't believe it. An adult who pays for everything. I turned to Ted, who was frozen, his fork in the air. "This doesn't make sense," Ted finally said. "Jasmine pays for everything. You need her." "Watch your tone, Theodore," Dad warned. Ted looked at me, concerned. "Jazz." I forced a smile. "It's fine, Ted." I sat up straight and looked my dad in the eye. "If that's how you feel, then fine, I'll leave." Dad nodded, satisfied. My mom finally looked up, but she didn't say anything. The rest of dinner went on like nothing had happened, but I couldn't eat. I packed my things in silence. The only noise was the sound of zippers and clothes being folded. Ted stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "This is crazy," he said. "They're kicking you out, but you're the one holding everything together." I zipped my bag, forcing a smile. "Apparently I'm a burden." "That's bull," he snapped, "and you know it." I sighed, sitting on the bed. "It doesn't matter, they've made up their minds." He shook his head. "What's your plan?" "I'm staying with ISA until I find my own place." Ted exhaled. "They won't last without you. You know, the bills, the food. Dad won't figure it out." A bitter feeling twisted inside me. That's not my problem anymore. There was silence between us until he spoke again. "Are you going to cut them off?" I met his eyes. "I have to." I pulled out my phone and went to my bank's website. With a few taps, I removed my name from the electricity, water, and internet bills. The rent payment stopped next. The next morning, I didn't say goodbye. I grabbed my suitcase and walked down the driveway, the cold air biting at my skin. No one stopped me. No one called my name. When I reached the curb, ISA was waiting in her car. She pushed the passenger door open. "You ready?" I looked back at the house, the one I had kept together for so long. Then I got in the car and shut the door. "Yeah," I said, "let's go." 3 days went by in silence. No calls, no messages. I figured my dad was too proud to admit he was wrong, and my mom was probably too embarrassed. But on the 4th day, my phone buzzed loudly on the counter while ISA and I were finishing dinner. When I saw my mom's name, I almost let it go to voicemail, but I answered out of curiosity. "Hello? Jasmine, please, you have to help us." My mom's voice was shaky. "The power's off. And the internet, your dad can't even watch his shows." I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. "Pay the bills." There was a long pause. Then she whispered, "We don't have the money." I couldn't help it. I laughed bitterly. Not my problem. And I hung up. My hands were shaking, but I set the phone down, my heart racing. Isla raised an eyebrow. "They're freaking out, right?" I nodded. "Power's out. Internet's down. They finally noticed I was paying for everything." She smirked, stabbing her pasta. "Funny how your dad never calls, but your mom does the dirty work." Before I could answer, my phone buzzed again. A message, "Fraud alert, someone tried to log into my bank account," from my parents' address. A chill ran through me. "They tried to hack me," I told Isla. She dropped her fork. "Seriously? Change all your passwords. Freeze your accounts if you need to." I was already in my banking app. New passwords, extra security, locked down everything. My hands shook less, but my anger stayed hot. My dad had thrown me out and now he was stealing from me. Late that night, Ted called. His name flashed on my screen. I answered. Ted? Jasmine, Dad's furious. He found out you cut the bills. He's blaming you for everything. Let me guess, he won't admit he was wrong? Ted laughed bitterly. Not even close. He says you're punishing us, making us suffer, and he's talking about doing something. I sat up. Doing what? I don't know, but he's planning something. My father had never been violent before, but his words could hurt deeply. Stay away from him, I told Ted. If he gets worse, call the police. He won't hurt me, Ted whispered. But he could try to hurt me. He was silent, then said, be careful, Jasmine. That night, I couldn't sleep. Just after midnight, there were loud bangs at Islaw's door. Open up, Jasmine, my father shouted. You think you can walk away from me? Islaw sat bolt upright. I grabbed my phone. I'm calling the police. More kicks shook the door. Then, sirens, blue and red lights flooded the hallway. Officers stormed in. Hands where we can see them, they shouted. Seconds later, my father was cuffed. Miss Carter? An officer called gently. He's in custody. I looked at Islaw, and at last felt relief instead of fear. But the story didn't end there. 2 days later, another fraud alert. Someone tried to sell my car, still parked outside Islaw's place. I called the dealership. That sale isn't real, I said. Your mom claimed she had power of attorney, they told me. I hung up and called the police again. At my parents' house, my laptop was already listed online for sale. My mother looked panicked. It's a mistake, she cried. The officers weren't convinced, neither was I. That was the last straw. I removed my name from their lease, closed every shared account, and blocked their numbers. Ted called once. Are you sure you want to do this? I took a deep breath. Yes. 4 years, I was their provider and their punching bag. Now, I belonged only to myself. Friends, what do you think of this story? Share your thoughts in the comments. Want more? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.